viewers should not be beating themselves up for feeling compassion and being compassionate, that actually these images, the stories that we're hearing are going to have an impact on us who are watching. And I think that, we have to give ourselves time to absorb that. But actually, there is a way in which you can feel a bit of guilt and anxiety about what you're not going through. And I think this is the time to really think, well, what can I do? There are ways in which you can maybe get involved in volunteering, putting together packages, perhaps even giving small donations, if this is what you feel is going to help you. But certainly I think that keeping our minds open to being compassionate.
And Laverne, what do you think parents can do to help their children manage their own mental health?
I think that children have had so many demands on their sort of well-being and their good mental health that, this war is another potential real impact of a sort of setting them back. Children beginning to feel more anxious or quite depressed about what's going on in the world as they see it. And I think that that's another moment in time for parents to really step in and to remind children of how well they've done. I mean, they've been the most resilient that we've seen children for a very, very long time, or at least in my experience of children. But again, to be saying to them, asking them if they've got any questions, not necessarily telling them anything, but being available to the questions they may have, giving them opportunities to really get involved. So many young people, want to give bits of their pocket money to causes so that they can feel they're putting something positive into the situation.
And I don't know whether it's the same with you, Laverne, but a lot of people I've been speaking to find it really hard to look away because they think there's a real responsibility to keep up with the news 24/7 and to just go through social media and see what's going on. What would your advice be to them if too much of that is causing them distress, but they feel they need to understand what's happening?
I think there is a real need to feel that you're understanding what's going on. I mean, this is absolutely beyond many people's sort of, sphere of their gaze. This seems unimaginable that this can be going on. And I think that keeping in touch is a way of maybe sort of locating yourself in relation to it. So I completely understand that. But you've got to notice when that becomes too much, when you're noticing something about maybe your own sort of addiction to the news that's not helpful, that you're not feeling that actually it's helping you to manage the news, that looking away, maybe limiting the amount of time that you are watching the news and carrying on. This is quite hard, but, carry on living our lives and doing the things that make us feel mentally and physically well.
So no doom scrolling. I would never normally say step away from the news, but sometimes you've got to step away from the news. If you've already seen what's going on, put a limit on it.
I think you're absolutely right. I think we've got to be mindful that this is having a huge impact on many people for huge reasons. As you've said, people who've been refugees themselves, people who've had traumatic incidents, these sorts of events, this war event could really be a trigger to people's anxiety and depression. And those people need to be mindful and aware of all the work they've done to get themselves into a steadier place and to not let this rock that stability that they've worked so hard for.
Good advice, Laverne Antrobus. Thanks very much for joining us.